Up with Jordan and Ron.
Hi, welcome to Hooking Up with Jordan and Ron. I'm Jordan.
I'm Ron.
And today we have our friend Lisa here, who works at a local restaurant. She's going to help us touch on how to make friends and relationships in a modern world.
Thanks for having me.
We're glad you're here. Yeah.
Yeah, so we actually have a very specific topic today that we're going to talk about, and that is friendship and dating when you're in recovery. Whether it's formal recovery or whether you yourself are just trying to stay out of bars and stay away from substances. How do you meet people? Where do you meet people? Are you supposed to meet people? I mean, we've all heard these rumors, right? Or we've had friends that get into recovery, then they drop all their friends and make all new friends. Is that real? What's that world about? And Lisa is an expert in that, and she appears on panels and things all the time talking about these things and gets people involved and has been very involved herself, and that's why we have her here today.
So just to clarify, recovery from addiction or substance abuse, what's a good word? Because recovery can mean so many things, right?
Yeah. So I would say recovery from addiction, from substance abuse disorder.
Okay.
Okay, so I guess my first question is just sort of that myth. Let's start with that myth. So the myth is if you go into recovery, you're supposed to drop all your friends and not date anybody or meet anyone or do anything for a year with anyone outside of recovery. And is that true?
Yeah, so these are suggestions that they give you when you join a 12-step fellowship. And they're just that, suggestions to make your life easier. So for me personally, I moved to Ann Arbor and had not seen any of my old friends really since I got clean.
Wow.
And like the first, you get a sponsor when you move and you start doing these programs, and they tell you like, please don't get in a relationship for a year. And nobody follows that. Nobody
so
follows
hard.
it.
How would you? Yeah.
It's so hard because it's like you put the substance down and you want to supplement it for something else.
Yep.
And like the first thing is going to be sex.
Oh,
Sex,
interesting.
eating, caffeine.
Yep.
So very rarely does anyone actually follow that suggestion. It just ends up being this trend of early recovery dumpster fire relationships.
Oh. Okay.
Oh, I
okay.
bet. Yeah, I bet.
Yeah.
Did that happen to you? Did you have some dumpster fire
Oh,
relationships?
yeah. Oh my gosh. So when I moved out here, we start going to these 12-step meetings and there's all these people, and I started dating a guy that had 4 years clean.
Oh, wow.
And it was such a mess. So first of all, somebody with 4 years clean is looked at as a predator when you are so new.
Really?
Yeah, so you try to stick newcomers away from people like that
That's so
because
interesting.
they're so far ahead of you.
Yeah.
And they should have worked on themselves. So like, what can you offer somebody? I can't offer.
Oh, yeah. Why would they be interested in you?
Why would you be interested? I just
Well,
came off the
I know why they'd be interested, right? Hence the word
Yeah.
predator, right?
Wow. Wow.
Yep. So we did this dumpster fire relationship for about 6 months.
Oh.
And it was so toxic. I couldn't offer anything in a relationship except for some physical intimacy.
Okay.
And it just ended up just chaos and fights and arguments, and it was really toxic.
Yeah.
And looking back at it, it's just embarrassing. You're at a meeting and everyone's fighting and people are picking sides and people are feeling bad for one person, and
At the fellowship meeting.
at the fellowship meeting.
Oh,
So it's
man.
just so embarrassing. So embarrassing.
Yeah.
So that's why they say not to be in a relationship for a year, because it lets you learn about who you are and what you want in a person.
Okay.
And when I got here, I didn't know anything except for how to use men. So that's exactly what I did. You had a
Oh,
car, you had the
interesting.
friends, you had the money, you had the job.
Uh-huh.
I had nothing. I just existed.
Wow. So why did you move to this area? Did you move to Ann Arbor or just surrounding area? Or?
Yeah, so I moved to Ann Arbor. I spent like almost 15 years in Pontiac before I moved down here. So I went to treatment And then I got into the Dawn Farms transitional housing.
Mm-hmm.
So I lived there. I ended up living there for 2 years because I just did not know how to live. So many years of using all the growing era I spent using. So I
Mm-hmm.
just needed that support to figure out how to live.
Yeah, absolutely. And form like good habits and everything.
Yeah.
But you're glad. I mean, ultimately, are you glad that you made that change?
Oh, absolutely. I didn't ever see a way out. So doing this was super hard. And it was a lot of learning. Like, how do you communicate with people when you don't get along, or disagreements, or sticking up for yourself, or, there's so many things that I had to learn. And
Yeah.
I was just so grateful. My life is very beautiful today.
That's awesome.
That is awesome.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that is awesome. One of her friends is here with her today.
It's a secret guest. Maybe one day we'll reveal.
Yeah,
Maybe
one
not.
day.
We had some cheers in the background, silent cheering. It's good.
Well, I actually met Lisa at the restaurant that she works at, and I knew that she was involved with recovery because she's very open about talking to people about that. And I had a friend at that time who, like, I didn't know how to confront with, their own substance abuse issues, and she was very, very helpful in just being very direct, saying, this is what you need to say. This is what you need to do. You may stay friends. You may not stay friends. Let's, but this is what happens. And,
Yeah.
and we did not stay friends.
Okay.
I mean, it's okay. It's for the
Sure,
best.
sure.
It's certainly the best for me and hopefully the best for him. But that's how I knew that Lisa was very involved in this whole world of recovery. And I think some of her friends work nearby as well that have gone through recovery. And it's kind of cool that you've been able to kind of stick together really and work together and, share stuff together. And I see you're constantly posting, like, on Facebook, all these social things that you do together. So how do people meet and do things when you're supposed to not go to bars and not be
Yeah.
around substances and not be around negative influences like that? How do you meet? What do you do? Where do you go?
Yeah. Like, are all your friends sober? Not to jump to another question, but kind of as a supplement to what Ron asked. But
Yeah. So today I have friends like all over the board. Not everybody is in recovery, but they are also new friends. So they're friends that I've gained relationships with that know that I'm in recovery from the beginning. So our friendships aren't all about using or drinking or doing these things. That's completely different. So yeah, most of the outside activities I do will be with my friends. We'll do activities. So it's like, we'll go golfing, we'll go bowling, we'll go out to eat. And then in the fellowship, I make most of my friends doing that, and they have so many events. So you just go to all these different areas and you have meetings or you have speaker jams, where everyone's sharing their experience, strength, and hope.
oh wow.
Barbecues, dances, conventions all over. And you just end up meeting people there.
Mhm.
But I would say, like, a big part of the friendships that I've gained is doing service work in these 12-step meetings.
Mhm.
So they say, get a home group, you get a home group, you pick up a service commitment at that home group, whether it's reading or making coffee or setting up. And then at, like, the area level. So right now I'm Washtenaw area's facilitator for my fellowship. And basically I run the area meetings. And so we just talk about, like, where the finance is going and who we're donating that money to, or what events we're putting on. And I've held multiple positions at the area level, as well as, like, the individual meeting level. And so doing that, you end up finding people that are also equally as involved in the fellowship. So you gain friendships with them.
That's very cool. I mean, that's really
It
very
seems
cool.
really empowering. Like, just continually validating how beneficial this is for everyone's life, in that community.
Yeah, so I think they would call that, like, surrendering. So daily I surrender to my disease of addiction by doing X, Y, and Z to support that. But yeah, so I realized real quickly that those are some great friends to have, but don't date inside the fellowship. because it turns into
Really?
it just
It's
ends
too
up
close?
it's too close to home.
Okay.
And
Okay.
then it turns into the same shit show, right?
Turns into the same shit show because then
Wow.
you're
Yeah.
dividing friends because you end up recovering with the same people. You go, you know what I mean? There's only so many of
Okay.
us.
Right.
Like it's too like they know too much or it's too intimate. Because I mean, as someone who doesn't have the full insight of what you've experienced, it seems like you'd feel really close to that group, and that would possibly feel very intimate and thus romantically. I don't know. Does that make any sense? I don't know, but maybe I'm off base with that.
Yeah, so I would say that it never ends well because, you
Yeah.
know, so to be in these fellowships, you end up just being the sick of the sick. So everybody's sick in their own way.
Oh,
and
okay.
and you end up recovering in the same meetings in the same areas with the same people. So everyone gains a relationship. So, you know,
Oh, okay.
you're going to gain a relationship with me, you're going to gain a relationship with my partner. And then if something goes wrong,
Yep.
then it's like, oh, you got to pick sides. And it's like so bad because it's like, oh,
Huh.
now you don't want to be my friend, you want to be their friend, or you know what I
Oh,
mean? Or,
interesting.
you know, and then a lot
Yeah.
of times you're sitting at a table sharing about your partner. And so then, you
Oh
know,
yeah, how would you do that in the room? Right.
you
Okay,
know, so
that's
it's like you're
Yep.
talking shit about your partner over
Sure.
here and I'm sitting at the table next to you and, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you have to assume they're like your college buddies, your friends, and just hands off.
Yeah.
So I happened to notice on Facebook not very long ago that there are all these pictures posted from Florida of an engagement ring.
Oh, I mean, I see it, but I
Yeah.
was, I do. Okay.
So do you have a story?
I do. So I moved out of transitional with this couple in a different fellowship, and they had a friend that was interested in dating.
Hmm?
And I was like, oh no. And finally I said yes. And so we all went bowling and hit it off really well. And we'd been dating ever since.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, so he
Wow.
goes to a different fellowship than I do. So we don't recover together. We have completely different lives, completely different friends.
Mhm.
And yeah, so we'd been together for 3 years. We went to Florida and he popped the question on the beach.
Oh my gosh. Did you have any idea?
Yeah.
I
mean,
think we all did,
that's
honestly.
da-
You know,
okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
everyone was waiting to see if there was going to be a picture with a ring in it.
Yeah.
How wonderful. It's so exciting.
Yeah. He's just not sneaky, you know? So he missed that element of sneak. But I let him
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
believe that we didn't know.
Very kind.
Yeah.
What was his name?
Jordan.
So if Jordan is listening right now, now
Oh,
you know that everybody
Jordan.
knew.
Oh, okay, Jordan, you did such a great job.
Jordan.
Great job.
Yay.
Awesome.
Congrats.
Awesome. I
Thank
love
you
it.
so much. Thank you.
I love it.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's a good
yay.
positive story.
Yeah, so that went well.
So what kind of advice do you have for someone maybe who isn't in like a formal recovery and has just sort of decided I can't go to bars anymore, I can't drink anymore, I can't whatever,
Yeah.
about maybe meeting people?
It's a great question.
Yeah, so I would say like a hobby. You got to find something
Mhm.
that sparks your interest and try it out. For me, like today, I look at my recovery as a productive hobby.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would assume that if I didn't have a substance use disorder, how would I meet friends that also did what I do? It would be like find a hobby.
Yeah.
Whether that's like join like a gym or a bowling league or a sporting thing, something that you like to do or learn until you like it. Try it until you like it.
Mm-hmm.
To find somebody that has the same interest as
Mhm.
you.
So
So you
are-
have something.
Are you a pretty good bowler then?
I'm not very great. No, but I'm a better golfer.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, it's that time of year here in Michigan.
Yeah.
It's full on summer now.
Yes.
Yeah, well, that's interesting. I think, joining a sports team or joining a mutual hobby is a great, great idea. That's it. I wasn't aware, by the way, if you're like a single person and you would like bowling and you go to a bowling alley and they have leagues, you can sign up and they'll assign you to one of the teams.
Oh, that's
And
nice.
I
You
had
don't
no
have to
idea that they
coordinate
do that,
everything. Yeah.
right?
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, unlike axe throwing, where you just get stuck throwing the axe by
Oh my
yourself
gosh,
if you don't
axe
go
throwing is
with
super
anybody.
hard.
Yeah.
It's like very intense too.
It-
Like
it-
it's just like
yeah.
you really have to go for it.
Yeah, and you end
Yeah.
up playing by yourself if you don't go with the team. So, from personal experience,
Oh,
but it
Ron,
was
I'll go
okay.
axe throwing with
Okay,
you.
we'll go axe
Okay, let's
throwing.
do
Okay.
it.
But
Lisa, do you want to come too?
Yeah, we're
Okay.
in.
Okay, let's do
Yeah.
it.
Well, and here in Ann Arbor, we have so many opportunities. We have things like co-rec softball teams,
Yeah.
and a lot of the companies have teams, and you can just sign up for those as well. And you'll probably have your pick of teams that you want to join because nobody ever has enough players anywhere. So that's a great way to meet people. I personally, I'm very involved with theater, so I meet a lot of people in theater. But what I found is, and this is ironically very similar to your recovery experience. If I hang out with people like in theaters that I always do stuff at where I know people, that's a terrible place to try to date someone. But
It's very close knit. It's
Yeah, it's
and
very
theater being
close-knit.
drama,
Yeah,
you
there's
know,
always
there you
drama.
go. It's yeah.
But if you go to a new place and you work with a completely different theater company, you meet completely new people that have no history together.
Right.
And then it's very careful that you kind of plan it so that you're not going to continue to do theater there. That you do your
Okay.
one show, you meet people, but then you
Kind of
move
peel off.
move back to your
something
home theater or
else.
whatever.
Sure.
Otherwise, you're going to have that same problem, of drama and problems, and everybody knows everything because everybody knows everyone, and they love drama. It's drama, so
Yeah.
they love drama. What's your advice to people? Let's say kind of starting recovery and really do want to be socially involved. What's your advice to them?
Yeah, I would say just hold on. Just don't date and just hold on. Get your feet wet, see what the options are, see what you like, and then go from there. I'm big on lists. Write pros and cons lists.
Okay.
So you know exactly what we're looking for.
That's a great
Of
idea.
like the type of person you'd really want to connect with.
Connect
Yeah.
with on any intimate type of level.
Yeah.
Friendship,
Okay.
any level. Because you don't want to settle. You don't want to settle for friends. You don't want to waste time doing these things that you're going to later regret.
That's a great idea. I mean, one of the things I personally do, and I actually have my patients do that, is we do life circles. We actually draw out the circles. Who are the people closest to you in this circle?
Oh, wow.
Who are the people that are sort of in that outer circle? Who are the people you pay to be your friends, right? Doctors and other people. Who are the people that
Pay
you
to
would,
be your friend.
yeah, who are serious, but
doctor.
because there's a lot of people like that. You're doctors,
Yeah.
you're lawyers,
I actually
you're,
really do like my doctor.
there's your therapists. Your
She's pretty
therapist
cool.
ends up
Yeah.
being a friend, but they're not.
Okay.
you
No.
know?
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Um,
That's true. That's true.
And we actually draw them out. We sketch them out. And I occasionally
Oh, I'm
do
gonna
that in
do
my
that.
journal. I'll write out my
Okay.
circles and see who's there, and then who the people like that you want to have in your circle.
Am I in your
that
circles,
are maybe
Ron?
not.
Yeah.
You're in one of my circles somewhere, but
Just one?
if you're nice one day, I'll tell you which circle we're in.
Damn.
Damn.
All right.
That's yeah. So but that's great advice. So you see that from the other point of view as well. I think, if you're trying to help someone in recovery, if you go to Al-Anon or any of those kinds of things, they always tell you to be patient, step back, wait for them. Don't you approach right now. Let them get their world together.
Sure.
Don't be part of that right now. And I think that's hard to do sometimes, especially when you're very close to people. But that's great advice. And give yourself the time to learn about you before you can be involved with someone else.
Yeah. Not to diminish it in any way, but it almost sounds similar to when you've, lived a life with someone and you have a breakup. You're breaking up with that habit, with that behavior. And so like any of those what are they called? What is it called? The waste fire? Oh my gosh, I can't even
The
think
dumpster
of
fire.
I can't think of the word. That's famous 2020 word, right? The dumpster fires are like rebounds. Like everybody has these frivolous things often after a relationship. So it seems easier to relate to, I guess, than I thought. I've noticed a lot of sober men locally on apps, specifically on Tinder.
Yeah.
Is that a thing? Is there encouragement to join? I mean, it's literally so many.
Yeah.
I would say there's probably more sober men on specifically Tinder for whatever reason. It's also, that's more people per capita usually anyways. But outside of that, is there a thing there? Is there something there?
So I think that people jump on dating apps early in recovery or in recovery in general to find somebody outside of your social group.
Okay.
And I think that is one of the ways. But also, a lot of these people are replacing their substance with some sex, so they end up just doing the the hookup thing.
Yeah,
sure,
well,
sure.
Which is,
we've
you
all
know,
done it for
we've
different
all-
reasons.
Yeah, so
Easy on apps, you
Yep,
know?
super easy.
And you don't want to be going to a bar if you're in recovery. So yeah, that totally makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, we have had Lisa joining us today. It's been a fascinating visit today. It's a world that a lot of us don't know about, but a lot of people do, which
Yeah.
is like really
Sure,
awesome.
sure.
And I think more and more people are becoming more aware of other people's needs at this point.
Mhm.
And that's been one of those cool things we've seen over the last 3-4 years. But thank you so much for
Thank
joining us
you.
today.
Yes, thank you so much for having me.